Lekki inherited 55 billion naira debt, left 410 billion naira debt. On to Ogun local government poll, one party wins when others don't vote, OCSEC chairman says. And on Ondo Guba, PDP Atiku warns against rigging. On local government autonomy, federal government, governors, local government chairmen sign implementation agreement. And on politics, PDP is united in Rivers State, Wike says. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, Short break. When we come back, we'll delve right into the show. Do not go away.
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence. To protect this act, I profit to leave of this minister and the protect this act.
Give us access to our money within the time.
As always said, there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which are you?
It's not about the company. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on the happenings around the globe.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are. Give us access to our money. I've always said there are two sets of people: the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe now is not about the dominant. Who can come and
representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To conduct this act, appropriate critical to lead of this minister and the cabinet.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank.
I've always said there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the coward and the hypocrites. Which I am.
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe now is not about the company. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are on the sea.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To conduct this act, appropriate critical to lead.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Bishop Bob Manuel Ibioku. Bishop Bob Manuel is the Bishop, Joint Heirs and His Kingdom International. Also joining me on Open Conversation is Chizi Nyomasila. Chizi Nyomasila is the leader, ICU Group. He's also a regular on Open Conversation and a political analyst. Good morning, Chizi, and welcome.
Good morning, Doris, and good morning, Nigerians.
And on to the story. Afanifere Chairman Dr. Femi Okurumu has been cancelled to avoid getting involved in matters capable of ridiculing his status as an elder statesman, especially matters on which he would not speak objectively for obvious reasons. Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike's Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and New Media, Lere Olayinka, who reacted to Dr. Okoromu's statement, accusing President Bola Tinubu of being laid back on the ongoing crisis in Rivers State, asked what exactly Dr. Okoromu expected President Tinubu to have done. Olayinka said it was strange that Dr. Okoromu, by the governor of Rivers State, Governor Sim Fubara, and the danger such affront on the judiciary posed to democracy, when the Constitution says that the budget can only be passed by 2/3 of the assembly members. Has Governor Wike been ignoring judgments of the court concerning his regime of lawlessness in Rivers State, when the Court of Appeal in Abuja on October 10, 2024 affirmed a lower court's decision nullifying the Rivers State 2024 budget signed into law and being operated by Governor Fubara? Did the governor obey the judgment? And it is not shocking that Dr. Okuromu has chosen to ignore the danger Governor Fubara's deliberate affronts on the rule of law pose to democracy and peace in Nigeria. Let me start with you, Bishop. Bishop, what do you make of this, first of all, the statement by Dr. Okuromu, and then the comeback by Nyesom Wike's personal aide?
Well, basically, there are positions that people take as opinion. But I want to also say, please, we know some of these discussions, I hope they are not sub judice, because they are matters of litigation. But since it has come up, proponents are putting it up, we think it's already in public space and nothing has happened. On the strength of that, I think we can also talk on it. But basically, I think that the statement or the defense Olayinka is putting as an aid is not completely out of place. Because Wike is a very prominent statesman, also very close to the president by his position of FCT minister. And in Rivers State, he's a stakeholder, and in fact, can say he's a godfather of the sitting governor by the way he emerged. So, Olayinka was recently appointed from the stock of the former governor of Ekiti State. They have been friends, and in his own wisdom, he has laid out the matter, trying to absolve his principal. But where I a little bit distant myself is that in this fight for Rivers State, can you say ab initio I started? Can you completely exonerate? Yes, like I told people even when we're in radio, the FCT minister has not personally gone to court by himself to institute any matter, even since the thing snowballed to the judiciary. But we know that there are people loyal to him. In the two factions, we know those who are loyal to also the governor, as it has played out. And the court cases too, we know the defendants, the plaintiffs, and as the case may be. in all this matter, and most of these people, including the FCT minister, has come publicly to make statements about his position and his perceptions. And he has not completely said, I am not interested. In fact, he said, Abuja is not his dwelling place. His dwelling place is his constituency, which is River State. And that he talks about structure. He cannot leave his structure to be swallowed anyhow in the state and goes to Abuja, because he will return back to this place. So by so doing, you cannot holistically, blanketly close the eyes to say it does not have an interest. But whether it should be responsible outright, in fact, they've gone to form different movements, simplified movement, this one's formed their own. So in public domain, we know that there are gladiators in the two sides. And so that statement cannot be a complete truism. But out of interest, why I say this thing is that even when the 8-point agenda by the president was brokered, they came back, like this other case we're talking about that was finally, the governor was asked by the Motocho court, was because the plaintiffs in that case did not withdraw the matter. And this withdrawal, and that was used as a judgment. So if you look, most of them, even against the backdrop of the president's interest, they have further orchestrated their interest. So when
you were speaking, you talked about the Peace Pact. You mentioned the Peace Pact,
yes,
and also said that the 27 lawmakers did not fulfill all that they were expected to do in the Peace Pact. And probably if they have done that, Rivers State would not be in the state that it is right now. The question would be on the side of the governor as well. Did the governor also fulfill all that he was expected to do in the Peace Pact?
No, I would not say completely yes, but look at it. You don't, you don't put the cart before the horse, or what the horse before the car, whatever. But look at what happened. I don't know. It was from the judgment of Omotocho I came to know.
All right.
Because I've always seen the governor as a trespasser who perhaps came back because of advice of his mother does not stop the matter. It is the plaintiff that actually
can stop the matter.
So maybe in their wisdom or in trying to obey the president, that matter was done. The people saw it as an opportunity to nail them. And unfortunately for the judge, or she mentioned it as a reason why they don't have any case at all. So everybody will now become circumspect. Even the one who have withdrawn before. If there is a way you introduce through third party and all that, now they started going. That's where the interest comes from. And in all these things, the president must have been a little bit disappointed on all sides, because he could be thinking it's just the governor. But now I could also see that this other end did not completely do what I expected them to do.
Okay, now when you look at the Peace Pact, it was, I think, eight of them.
Number one. Number one, after the commissioners were called back after the assembly came in, and they screened them.
Critical, you could say if you're on the negotiating table between screening ex-commissioners and calling them back and screening them and presenting the budget and holding election, which one would you hold on to for someone to recognize you, as or for you to be assured that, okay, now this reconciliation, of course, is true? Which one would you go with?
No, well, for me, they are all holistic.
All right.
They are all holistic, and depends on the perception of anybody. Any can come before. It was the total package. But that was what I told you. When this suspicion are you sure I'm doing the right thing came up, the main problem was the legislators.
Oh, it was the legislators?
Yes, and the governor. From the impeachment to all that. And their loyalty, that reconciliation was political. It was not that they came back and they embraced each other.
It was a political solution.
It was a political solution. And the political solution was done with suspicion. Okay. When the camps came back, they were reviewing. And as they were reviewing, they also knew the plans of others. Okay, even if you're the local government, two wrongs cannot make a right. If you now come and you elongate, which is something that you elongate council chairmen who are sitting, who are loyal to the FCT minister.
The law allows them to do that.
No, listen to me. No. When you talk, the law allows them. It's just like saying that when Tinubu is 4 years, the National Assembly goes to elongate his tenure. No,
it can be done.
No, listen. It's an aberration.
No, it's not.
No, listen to me now.
All right, go ahead.
When I say it's an aberration,
go ahead.
That can be done in an emergency. Now, it can be done in an emergency. I agree. But in an emergency, there cannot be a vacuum. But where there is a constitutional order, what can happen at best? That was why the illegal caretaker, which even the previous governor did 3 times before elections took place. When they come out, they make a makeshift. The makeshift they make is what? They create, a pseudo administration, like local government council.
Like caretaker
committee.
Right.
And the caretaker committee, the state constitution of local government,
yes.
That's the House of Assembly, recognizes the caretaker committee, but the constitution does not.
All right.
So they believe that if a governor forms a caretaker committee, within the laws of the state, it is still recognized.
All right.
But by the federal government, it's not. That is why even the states that have caretaker committee, allocations were still given to them to manage, unlike this one now that the elections have come. So for me, it was the political perception of the gladiators looking maybe beyond what we see superficially to say, oh, we can't just blindly move this way. And another implication was that before then, the resignation and the moving from PDP to APC thing has happened. And the hardliners were already saying that even with this thing, Governor, you made a mistake because these people on crossing over automatically have lost their position.
Right.
Now, if you now go and accept this, and there were cases in court, it was sub judice. So you don't need to now.
You talked about local government extension of the tenure of either the president by the National Assembly or the local government chairman by the state houses of assembly. They are actually, the National Assembly and the state houses of assembly are well within their right to extend the tenure of either the president, in this instance by the National Assembly, or the local government chairman by the state houses of assembly, because the state houses of assembly make laws for local government. And you recall that the expiration of the tenure of this local government chairman was on the 18th of July. Am I correct?
I think so.
Cheesy, is it 18th of July? Okay, very well. Now, Supreme Court...
8th of July.
8th of July. Right. Supreme Court gave judgment July 11, 2024, reaffirming what already is in the Constitution. And this judgment came during the local government autonomy judgment by the Supreme Court. And they touched on extension of tenure. And I would say the judgment partly reads, under Section 135, subsection 3 of the Constitution, the tenure of 4 years for the president provided for by Section 135, subsection 2 thereof, shall be extended for periods not exceeding a period of 6 months at any time by a resolution of the National Assembly, if it is not practicable to hold elections. By same token, by a law of the State House of Assembly, the tenure of local war, or if it becomes impracticable or impossible for elections into the local government councils to be conducted, the mandate given to an elected local government council is the mandate of the electorate of that local government area. And if the tenure is extended, it is the people's mandate that is extended. If the tenure of a local government council is truncated, as is the norm now, it is an illegal termination of the electorate's mandate, and it is not to be encouraged but roundly condemned. Having said that straight, I want to hear from Chizzy. I also want to get your reaction on some of the issues that Bishop raised, particularly with respect to this last discussion around local governments.
Okay. Thank you very much. You know, I don't know where to start, but let me start
from somewhere.
Let me just start from somewhere. Let me start from what the elder statesman in Yoruba said. So if a court has ruled that the same man is the same speaker, do you have any problem with that? You with you, because you were saying that he wasn't the speaker. and then that same court ruled that that same person that you withdrew, that he's now the speaker, is the speaker. He's just giving it more legal backing.
No, based on the fact that you didn't withdraw, you withdrew.
No,
That was where the court.
Look at the question I asked. No, look at what I asked. The question I asked is, that 8-point agreement was that Martins Amehule was remains the speaker, and the court, by whatever way, still named that same Martins Amehule the speaker. Why do you have a problem with that? That means that your withdrawal was suspicious. You weren't clear about it. I mean, somebody says to me that this is Chizi Masla. That's why you said this was not Chizi Masla. And the person went to court that Chizi Masla. And then in secondly, they said, okay, we know that Chizi Masla is Chizi Masla. And then the court then be Chizi Masla. You would have said, okay, that's correct. But that's what we did. You didn't do that. You now went ahead. They said this man resigned. Was it? Who? I hate to call him by the office that he's not. Edison Ehe, because I don't like that.
Current chief of staff. He to be working as a chief of staff.
That's why he will go to prison for being paid as chief of staff.
All right, go ahead.
So I don't want to talk about that. So that if you bring it back to where we're going, that June 8th was fast coming, and the Constitution has given them the opportunity. The Constitution did not envisage caretaker. In the language of the Constitution, the caretaker is extension. Now, there is a reason why the local government election could not hold. One, because the governor, we do not have an appropriation bill law. One, because it was also not captured in their fake appropriation law, meaning that they didn't want to hold it. And so what would the assembly do? Stay back and not have somebody in this thing. They have to extend it. Now the question is, Court of Appeal cannot appeal, rule on the judgment they have ruled. Though. All the judgment they have ruled cannot be brought here. What they are saying is that there are a lot of cases in court that is awaiting the Court of Appeal. So all they want to do, because if you look at the whole of those cases critically, they are all just one case. Critically, they bordered on the assembly and the budget. Critically. And so if the assembly has extended the tenure legally, which is what we are enjoying with NDDC today, and this is also a product of overriding powers of the assembly. The president didn't sign NDDC.
Overriding powers of the executive.
Overriding power of the...
You said of the assembly.
They can override the president's power. Overriding powers of the assembly. NDDC is a product of that. And Obasanjo did not sign NDDC into law. It was the National Assembly that called it back and then proved it. That's what we're enjoying today. We're enjoying from NDDC.
Hold on, Chizi, because you brought up another perspective to this conversation. When you're talking about these elected, the elected local government chairman, I mean the current local government chairman, the chairman that were elected in October 5 and inaugurated by the governor on October 6th. On October 6th. Now, you're saying that they are caretaker in the eyes of the law. There are two things I want to understand. Are you basing your argument from the angle that in the first instance, there was no appropriation bill according to the law? Rivers State does not have an appropriation bill and an election was held? I want clarity. Go ahead.
I have three perspectives to it, not just two.
All right,
Number one, that there is no appropriation law that had funded RISEC.
Okay. So
whatever activity that RISEC had carried out is to its extent null and void.
Okay.
Number two, that there is an elected government, I mean chairman and councillors still in the local government, that their tenure by that extension will end by December 8th.
Okay.
So there can be two. Three, the processes have not been completed. That is why you saw that thing they called election was conducted on Saturday, results released by 9-10 o'clock, and then by Sunday they were inaugurated. I know those kind of things. Nobody does that. Because he knows that that cannot stand. It cannot stand. So when people are talking about all of that, so who is the one who is not obeying those processes? Look at the person of a passenger. If you know the person of a passenger, you will know the passenger will be the person to front NDDC, because he didn't accept it. But opposition went ahead to fund it because he knows that by law he does not have any reason not to so do. And so in the same way, if they had done this,
But for them to say no lawyer should make reference to that particular one, and it's we are not talking about court now.
What's the constitution?
No, we are talking about processes. We are talking about processes. When you have an appeal, I had a chairman that sometime for perjury also was taken to court for perjury. At that level, he was convicted. He still stood an election when he appealed the matter. INEC still gave him this thing, form, and he still came back. So what we are trying to say is that it is discretionary. If somebody is already in a court and he has given a stay of execution, and
which now that's the question. Which stay of execution does the governor have? That's
why I say after that case of don't give them allocation, and the Omotoshos was the name. They appeal to Supreme Court. Now it is the wisdom of all those litigation back forth. They were still these other people were still making reference to the one that brought AE and brought this other place. Though the judgment line, they still filed a stay of execution. Whether
when you file stay of execution, hold on, stay of execution can be approved by the court.
Granted or not?
Denied.
That is what I'm telling you.
Was it denied?
That's what I'm telling you. In most cases, whether they do it quietly or there is a pronouncement, it can come to still be having business, because governor will not go assign money from the federation account. It has to be allocated. If the people that judgment is supposed to be stopping have not
to come and defend their judgment, as well as the appeal court president of FCT, as to reasons why most of the River State court
is it the appeal court president or the head of the High Court?
The Federal High Court.
The Federal High Court. Sorry, thank you. The head of the Federal High Court, as to why most of these cases are brought to Federal High Court.
No, I don't even have business allocation. I'm there.
Basing their argument on the local government extension by the River State House of Assembly. However, the IGP said that he told the police to barricade all the local government secretariat in order to protect life and property. And he said that the done. That's what he said. And after the election was done, the IGP told the police to vacate in order to allow the newly elected local government chairman.
Without cutting it short, I want you to go back to the IGP statement again. That time, the IGP is spokesperson. The IGP went as far as saying there are litigations until they are dispensed with, they will know who are the right people. They claim this particular extension, there was a court in River State that ruled against it.
Justice Wale.
Yes, that ruled against it. That, it was wrong and all that. So that gave impetus to also the other side.
After my show, he still came back to my show the next time he was invited to say that after that show, he received a call from Government House. And they were explaining to him how they were going to run with the voters register and all that. And on the third day of that service, the research chairman had to come out to address that matter. And he said he had the voter register that he got in 2023, which is not my business, because the question is, what does the Constitution say about how you obtain the voter register? Now, you're saying again, just like they told my guest, they have also told you that from the government house as well.
I didn't say government house, please.
Okay, they have also told you that
you can say from the grave.
That they have.
You can say from the grave.
I'm trying. That was what
but the matter was not settled.
That's why. Hold on. The matter is still on.
Okay.
Right, and that's why I kept asking you which stay of execution. Which stay?
No. The stay in all these matters that.
Well, hold on, John.
It's not only in the governor's case. In many other civil cases, it has happened like that until the Supreme Court. So there must be.
Let's
there must be something about.
just with what you let's just use a very simple analogy to simplify it. Let's say Bishop.
Let me finish before you round up.
Go ahead.
Now,
I was actually going to ask you a question, so you might have thinking.
Yeah, we'll do that in closing.
Okay, go
now,
ahead.
the other one I'm talking about this particular case of this legislator. There's one thing that Chizzy have not mentioned at all, which is in serious contention, though the appeal courts and all that have also not addressed it, is the fact of the legitimacy of the 27, where people have said they moved from party when there was no crisis, and that some lawyers have said, Citizen San have said, this particular is self-executory. And many lawyers came to say, if the assembly, for instance, for any reason of sort, there are assumed to be vacancy, the remaining people become the assembly. Now, they become the assembly and they can sit.
You quoted Femi Falana.
No,
are you aware that the
just,
person you're quoting is actually one of the lawyers representing?
No, not Femi Falana.
Are you aware?
Recently,
so he's speaking from the point of interest.
Recently,
so you can't quote Femi Falana
recently a Queen's Counsel,